Hi, everybody, and welcome to the AI Advantage webinar. My first intro, perhaps like some of you, to artificial intelligence was with Arnold Schwarzenegger and T2. And back then in early high school, it felt like it was a long way off. It felt totally science fiction. I didn't know that I would ever see it in my lifetime. And then you fast forward to about 3 or 4 years ago, I started playing tennis with a radiologist, one of the brightest people I know. And he started talking about all the ways that he's seeing it impact his business and what he was predicting for the future. And so over the course of several summers, we continue to have these deep conversations about it. And then GPT came out and everybody lost their minds. And it was something that was in the public forefront, where even conversations with my in-laws who are not in marketing, who've been out of the workforce for a while, are things that they talk about. So it's everywhere. And personally, I have some real concerns about AI and its impact on humans. We're not going to talk about that today because the undeniable power that it has for companies, and we'll talk about it in the realm of marketing, is something that we need to take advantage of. Because I can guarantee you that if you're not using AI right now, or you're not using it as effectively as you think you could, understand that your competitors are doing that right now, or their agencies are, or they're starting to figure it out. And I don't believe it's hyperbole to say that if you're not jumping on board, you're going to be left in the dust, even to the point where your business could be out of business in several years. Now, here at DOM, we've decided to go all in. And we started originally with an exploratory committee of just interested folks within the agency. And then we decided it was so important that we dedicated a position to just leading us forward in this manner. Give you one example. There's one task that we do a lot of that previously, just with humans, took us about 60 minutes to do to the level of expertise and execution that we are looking for out of ourselves. With AI now, it takes it down to 10 minutes using human in the loop still as part of this. So that means we can do triple the amount of work on this one particular task in half the time. And then use that other half of our time to unleash our people and their creativity for how they can really drive forward and have an impact for our clients. So to be very, very clear, and I know this is a contentious issue if you're looking at what's happening with the writer's strike, about how AI can displace humans, we're not talking about that. I don't believe that AI is going to get us to a place anytime soon where it's going to replace humans, but what it can replace are repetitive tasks to allow really bright, creative, curious people to cut out that rote work and to leverage their abilities to drive even better results. So today, we're going to give you tips. We're going to talk about background on AI. This webinar is for you. So we have prepared material, but we want to answer as many questions as we can. So if you have questions at any time, you're going to see that Q&A box at the top. I think through the pandemic, everybody's used to Zoom at this point. And you've done enough webinars where you've seen it. So at any point, go ahead and put in questions at the QA. If it is something like, hey, I didn't hear that, we'll go ahead and interrupt and we'll get the speaker to go back over it. But if it's something that's a little meatier, we're going to save it towards the end when we have that question and answer period. All right. So moving forward, just very quickly, a little bit about direct online marketing, or DOM as we like to call ourselves. First are our speakers today, and I'll introduce them properly as we go forward, but we have Billy Wright from our team, and very pleased to have Fernando Angelo, who'll be doing first from SEMrush. But a little bit about DOM. We're a 35-person agency. We were founded in 2006, and we are a certified agency partner with SEMrush. We are one of the fastest growing companies in the world, in the United States, according to Inc. And we help clients all over the globe with their campaigns. And what we do really well is drive quality traffic to our clients' websites and help them convert that traffic into whatever's meaningful. So SEO, paid search, digital advertising, analytics, conversion rate optimization, those are the things that we specialize in for our clients. We are one of Google's top 200 partners in the world as a premier partner. And then I mentioned before about SEMrush being a partner of theirs. Hopefully you've heard of SEMrush. If you haven't, you're Rip Van Winkle, I guess. You've been living under a rock for the last 100 years, or at least the last 20 years. Huge, huge, valuable company. We've used their tools for a very long time. We get a huge amount of value out of them. And SEMrush, if you aren't familiar, is an online visibility marketplace and content management SaaS platform. They do a lot. Again, very excited to have them speaking with us today. And so our first speaker, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that, Fernando, you can go ahead and pull yours up, is Fernando Angelo. As I mentioned, he is a senior market research manager over at SEMrush. He's been doing data analytics for over a decade. He speaks all over the world. He has a huge amount of passion in this area, and I couldn't be any more excited to have Fernando here speaking with you today. I've had the fortune of looking at his slides already, and so I know it's going to be a great presentation. Fernando, I will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So let's start with some data. Sorry for interrupting you. And of course, when we talk about data, we need to talk about trends. And something that we really love are trends that are backed up by data, right? In this case, we have so many trends on AI, and well, they are related to other marketing trends. Basically, the last 3 months or 4 months, most of the tools that are being launched, that are being developed, are related to AI. And I want to show you some of them. Let's just start with the tools for programmatic advertising. If you are into SEM or promotional ads creation, you have been noticing something really interesting, and is the evolution of programmatic advertising. Here, with the help of artificial intelligence, now companies, agencies, in-house teams, they have the capability to use more aspects of the buyer persona with artificial intelligence. Telling you this, well, you have the full spectrum of targeting options for your prospects, for your leads, for your users, and you can be publishing the exact message inside the ad to your specific audience in the specific time and a specific place. So programmatic advertising is going to the next step, the high-level step for this trend that we have here. Also, we have another huge trend, and I need to be honest here. Well, basically, in most of the Asian countries, this trend has been for the last 10 years. There are more and more cashless transactions in Asian countries, like in Korea and Singapore. They are not used to have cash money for daily transactions, but this trend is going really high. It's going up in different countries. I'm going to show you the data. So the digital penetration for cashless payment is really high, but we also have another different ways of transactions. Now you have P2P using, for example, cryptocurrencies. You can use P2P payments with your bank, with microtransactions as well. All of them are cashless. And here you have the data. So the volume, if we're doing the prediction for 2030, we can see that the trend is an uptrend. For most of the countries, and I've been saying it since the beginning, for Asian countries, this trend is pretty much not noticeable. But for example, in Latin America, in Europe, the trend is going to be double up the numbers. In America, in the US, in Canada, for example, the trend is there. It's not going so fast, so rapidly as in Asia, for example, or in Latin America, but the trend is there. The growth year per year is really big. At the beginning, we saw during the last decade that cashless payments were growing really fast, but right now the majority of these payments are beginning to be more practical, more faster than ever. And as you can see, the trend is really going to impress everybody by the end of 2030. Also, we have another trend related to artificial intelligence. Actually, this trend was here for the last 5 years with the introduction of Web 3.0. Here you can have the new iteration of World Wide Web. Right now, we are still in Web 2.0. But here we have more personalized information, and that's something that, as Justin was mentioning, ChatGPT has bring us personalized answers to our questions, personalized results. And Web 3.0 is basically that. It's personalized materials on the web for everybody, for each of us, for each user that we have. We have the interface, we have the logic, we have all the data, and you will receive a different experience. If you are in the insurance industry, if you are in the finance industry, you will receive a specific products for you, for your profile, and the person who's next to you is going to be receiving different products and services. Well, here's how this works as well with virtual identities. So in the case of Web 3.0, we can see that we have NFTs, we have crypto as well. Then we have all the social context that we have with all our information through the social media. And we have the key access that developers have to have everything connected. And be assured, this is a very secure way to deliver your information or to cancel the delivering of your information to a provider, to a website provider. In this case, everything is going to be in your wallet. If you are already in the cryptocurrency world, for example, in the crypto world, you already have your wallet, and you know that if you want to disconnect your wallet from a system, it's really easy to do. Sign out, nothing more. And all your information, all your contacts, all the information that that page has recorded is done. If you want to have your information with you, you will have it. Nobody else can have your information. So this way it's really secure. What does this mean for brands? So basically, you can identify your most loyal customers. Then you can have this specific content for each one of them, for different groups as well. The customer sign in with their wallet. It's really fluid. Basically, that's going to be their passport. The universal identification, well, in this case, no email send up, no more SMS confirmation. It's going to be only your wallet and the encrypted information behind it. You can create a scarcity, so more unique, in this case, types of content, and you can create different revenues, different sources of revenues from NFTs, for example. What does this mean for users? So in this case, for users, well, the opportunities are really, really wide. The ability to identify early access to products or exclusive products drops. In this case, if we're talking about content, live streams, concert, blogs, additional information, more perks, AI shop assistants, which are really trending right now in different countries. We have access to live events, meet with your artists, with your influencers, customer support concierge or customer support AI as well, airdrops and cashback, and, well, discounts with the information that you are providing. In this case, NFTs are the loyalty cards, cryptocurrencies are the loyalty points. You don't need to have only Bitcoins. You can create your own cryptocurrency for your users. That's how this is working with Web 3.0. And of course, this is something that you can say, okay, this was trend like 3 years ago, 4 years ago when Bitcoin was at the top, right? Well, yes, but Bitcoin has an evolution, has ups and downs. And if you can see here in the graphic, the Bitcoin rainbow price chart right now is the lowest. But the nearest future, 2024, for example, it's expected to be higher. This has been happening for the last 10 years. Bitcoin has been going up for 1 year and going down for 4 years. And the cycle is there. The next halving for Bitcoin is going to be 2024. So all these trends with Web 3.0 are going to be also really trendy. with the usage of AI, because AI makes content creation and creativity more efficient and more accessible. Also, basically, artificial intelligence everywhere. One of the main advantages of artificial intelligence in e-commerce, of course, is the ability to perform many tasks a human will normally carry out in days, in weeks, in months, but artificial intelligence can do it very, very fast. This is something that we were predicting in the digital marketing environment, and our friends from Forrester, from Gartner, were agree with us when we say, okay, AI today is improving the ability to answer complex questions in a personalized answer. They have learned a lot about our location, shopping habits, our preferences, and we have ChatGPT, we have Cambly.ai, Toby.ai, Message AI, and different AIs that are working really, really well. We have Jasper, we have Bart, different. We have it right now. We can use it. They are really accessible and they're working well. The efficiency is really high. It's not 100%. Nobody expects it to be 100%, but it's a great tool. And again, they are not replacing us. These tools, these AI are tools. All these AIs, they have a specific purpose, and that purpose is serving us, which is great. But in the upcoming years, for example, next year or in a couple of years, the prediction is that AI will begin to anticipate our needs before we are performing any kind of search. So in this case, AI will be more proactive, indicating what we want. As the example, for example, Samsung and LG, the second generation InstaView or ThinQ fridge, they became with AI cameras, and they are already anticipating that you are left with milk or meat or any groceries in your fridge, and they are already asking you, so they're being proactive, asking you that, okay, we need to buy this, making the buying list, and then you will go there and make the decision to buy the groceries from the nearest store. But in the upcoming 2 years, maybe more, AI will begin to make decisions based on affinities and habits learned. Paying your internet, paying your phone, buying that stuff that you don't have anymore in your fridge. So this is going to be small decisions, not big, huge decisions, of course, but small decisions that are going to be taking more and more time from us in a good way, of course. And this is going to be something like, for example, we have Neuralink from Elon Musk that is working only with your thoughts. So you can think about something, you can reproduce it that, or Synchron, the system that Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are working as well, that is something that you really want, you can express it via neuroscience, and you can have it through artificial intelligence, reproducing your thought. So this is going to be a complete new way to see the things around us and to buy products and services that are near us. In this case, with a simple example, with ChatGPT and OpenAI, well, the versions of GPT-2 and GPT-3 were integrated to different systems in SEMrush, for example, for the last 3 years. ChatGPT is here to stay, of course, because it's a really good version for natural language processing. But if we want to have ChatGPT, for example, in e-commerce, you need to have the right questions to receive the right answer. For example, here you can personalize customer integrations and iterations. Then you can have a normal product description, and I mean normal product description. Imagine if you have 1,000 of different truck batteries with only their code names and different numbers as typical content. Well, with the help of AI, you can differentiate them with the beautiful content created by them. So create product description is now easier than ever. Then you can generate, of course, social media content for a specific social media proposing and creating different offers for your users on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, or whatever other social media platform. There are different integrations right now that are working really well. For example, this is an example of the integration of ChatGPT and WhatsApp, and it was made in-house with an API that OpenAI was providing. The call of this integration was the beginning called God in a Box, because you can have the right answer with any questions that you have anytime as a message for your inside of your WhatsApp. Also, we have introduced OpenAI and GPT-3 with AI writing assistant. You can get recommendations while you are typing your text. You can get the tone of voice. You can get, of course, the rephrasing model that we can have if we want to talk about business, if we want to talk about something more colloquial or something more social or something entirely technical. You can change the tone of voice and rephrase the entire context by the context that you have. So this integration as well are inside of SEMrush. And all the changes that you make will receive a scoring that is also reviewed by an artificial intelligence that already know what type of users are you trying to reach. So the information about users, in this case, how loyal they are, how many clicks they have to your social media content, how often they're buying from you, or how often they're interacting with your brand. All this information, the artificial intelligence already know that, and they will be creating something new, something more exciting to show them in the next piece of content that you're going to be creating. So to finalize these trends, we saw that, well, in this case, marketers harness AI to deliver personalized content and predictive ads, which is working really well right now. Web 3.0 is here. Virtual identities, of course, are enabling a new era of online interactions with the wallets and with crypto, with NFTs. And at last, artificial intelligence becomes ubiquitous, augmenting decision-making and driving innovation in every single industry. And that's something that is really, really great. Well, thank you. If you will have any questions or any other trends, I'm going to be here as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Fernando. Appreciate your sharing your expertise and giving the background on everything. Folks, just a quick reminder, thank you very much for those Q&As that have started to come in. We appreciate that. We are going to save those and get to as many of those as we can here at the end of it. Right now, it is my pleasure to introduce Billy Wright a little bit more formally. And Billy has been working and cranking on websites since the 90s. He started to get into SEO in the mid-2000s, and he's done everything from individuals like politicians and entertainers and chefs to small businesses to giant corporations. He's been with Dawn for a little while. Prior to coming to Dawn, he was working for 8 years at PPG, and not to embarrass him too much, but I will leave it in the words of one of our clients. Recently, we sent out a survey to say, hey, what's working well? What can we do better? And one of our clients simply added in their comment section, Billy is an SEO god. So Billy, with that, I will turn it over to you, my friend.
Very impressive introduction. Yeah, I'm Billy Wright. I'm really excited to talk to you today. I'm pumped to talk to you today about generative AI and AI in general with your digital marketing strategy. So let's get going here. So what is AI? AI is artificial intelligence. It is a computer system autonomously completing tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as writing a story, decision-making, or language translation. Generative AI is AI that can be used to create new content, including text, videos, code, various other multimedia formats. Some examples of the leading generative AI models that are out right now, which you may have heard of these, some you may not have not. OpenAI's ChatGPT and GPT-4, very popular. Google has Palm 2 and Bard. Microsoft has Bing AI and Copilot. And there are multiple open source options here, but AutoGPT and Baby AGI are some of the most popular. So what are some of the uses for generative AI with your digital marketing strategy? First of all, brainstorming. You can use AI to create new product ideas. You can ask it to create article topics to give you marketing strategies that you can use on your sites. You can ask it to do analysis. You can ask AI to identify patterns, generate insights for you, and also do competitive analysis with your website versus your competitors. You can also do translation. AI can really quickly, efficiently, and cheaply translate content. You can use AI for education. If you work in the education space, you can create learning materials and quizzes with AI. You can use AI to simulate a conversation with an expert. You can also use it for personalization. You can ask it to speak directly to your target audience. How does my target audience work? With specialization, you can also generate new content with expert level knowledge about subjects that you and your own team may not be familiar with yourself. So let's do an example of an ad campaign built out using artificial intelligence. And these are sample versions of prompts. They're not exact prompts. They're just kind of simplified here. So competitor analysis, you can ask the AI, what campaign is our #1 competitor running? Who are they targeting? What strategies are they using? Then you can go into ad campaign creation, asking AI to generate an ad campaign similar to our competitor and generate their target audience personas based on the information you have. You can ask it to build out a multivariate ad campaign, simulate testing of ad headlines, body text, images, etc. Help us identify the most effective combinations. You can do ad targeting. You can say to the AI, based on the simulations and personas, can you please find the best audience to target within LinkedIn or another environment? You can also do personalization of your messaging. So based on John Doe's LinkedIn profile, please write a personalized LinkedIn message for this campaign. You can also use AI to do SEO for many, many things, but here's for a product page. Keywords, first get your keyword research done, etc. via SEMrush. Once you have your keywords, you can go into an AI system like ChatGPT or another and ask it to generate a content strategy and draft multiple pages for your website based on the keyword research you've done. You can then ask it, please, based on these keywords, generate optimized title and meta tags for all the pages we are generating. You can then ask it to get into link building opportunities. Can you please identify backlinking opportunities by analyzing our competitors' profiles and generate a written backlinking strategy? And then, absolutely, you can generate images. Please generate eye-catching images for our website based on the written content we've created and the keywords we've given. So there's all these things you can do with AI, and it's super helpful, but does it fully automate everything? With the baseline AI tools you get, like ChatGPT, you get a lot of things you can get it done, but it's not really automation. You can't really just set and forget everything you're doing with your digital marketing strategy. You have to remember, out of the box, AI helps you automate the tasks that you work on, but not the overall objective of what you're trying to accomplish. A human being is always going to be required, at least for now, to either improve the existing models that you're working with AI or to improve the output of those existing models. So let's talk a little bit about automation and some current capabilities here. Automation comes in many different forms, depending on the complexity of the tech stack you have within your company, but you have to always remember what they call the 80-20 rule. Most AI tools will always do 80 to 90% of a task for you, but that 20% that fills in that gap and that matters the most to both users and Google still has to be performed by a human. You can also mix and match. You don't have to use just one tool. You can use a slew of tools together. Using multiple tools together can help you automate that process a little bit better. Like if you're going to build out articles, you can use ChatGPT to generate written content for your articles. You can use then Midjourney to create images for those articles. And then you can take all of that content and put it into an AI like Synthesia that'll help you create an auto-generated explainer video about the article you're creating. Additionally, you can get custom builds made already. You can hire independent devs to enhance the capabilities of what's there for you using different parts of each of the open source AI tools. And here's just a couple examples of AI being used today. You've probably already seen it across the web being used by many different news sites and publishers, but two really prominent ones. Associated Press, they use AI to create minor league baseball game reports. They look like articles. They look like they're written by a human, but they are entirely generated by AI. They include who scored, who got out, standings, etc., how the game went. The big deal, though, is they're all human augmented and edited at the end once the AI generates the content. Secondly, BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is now using AI to create what they call As Told to Buzzy, which is their AI system. They're travel articles about different cities and places around the world. They're all completely created by AI, and then they have a human being come in and edit the article and augment it, just like the Associated Press. We'll talk about why that's important in a second. But okay, so there's a lot of capabilities you can use AI for. Now, what do you need to watch out for if you start to use AI? The big one is Google. Like if you want to create a lot of content, you want to make sure that content ranks. So Google has an official statement on how they look at AI generated content. And they say, it's going to sound negative at first, using automation, including AI, to generate content with the primary purpose of manipulating rankings and search results is a violation of our spam policies. That being said, it's important to recognize that not all uses of automation, including AI generation, is spam. And so they have a few rules here within the Google Webmaster Guidelines of what they mean by that. How can you make it unique enough for Google? Number one, always create content for humans that looks like it was written by humans. It has to feel human. Number two, only create content that answers a query or a question honestly and with accurate information. It has to be real, has to be honest. Thirdly, show your sources wherever and whenever possible. That's going to help you build authority. It's going to make Google think you're legit. Lastly here, this is the rule of thumb with all content, not even just AI generated content. If it looks like junk or a human being didn't write it, it's going to be seen as junk by the Google bot. You have to use humans to edit and augment this content to make it look good. You can't use exactly what came out of the system. You have to add a touch to it. So let's talk about people that haven't done that. Has anyone been penalized for using unaugmented AI content? There's one really good example that came up a couple of months ago from Mark Williams Cook from alsoask.com. He posted about this online. They generated 10,000 pages of content, answering questions from Google's People Also Ask, etc., using ChatGPT, and they put it on their site. Initially, they pulled in massive amounts of traffic and rankings. It skyrocketed. But then Google released a couple spam algorithm updates, and it appeared to penalize sites that had not human augmented that content, as well as other spam and junk content sites. And you can see the graph here as they shot up initially, fell down during the first algo update, shot back up slightly again, and then completely bottom out here. They had massive losses hit the site, effectively removing the domain from search results for many queries. So what else do you have to worry about besides the augmentation? Is you have to monitor the morale from your human workforce. AI can be very frightening for your staff. It might feel like you're trying to get rid of them or you're trying to displace their roles within the company. So when you implement AI with a digital strategy, you need to focus on how AI can benefit your writers or developers. How can you use AI to expand up and grow their capabilities? How can you use AI to empower them to do more and do better? A good example of this not being done well is Red Ventures. If you don't know Red Ventures, they own CNET, Bankrate, creditcards.com. They created their own AI, began writing dozens and dozens and dozens of articles. Those articles were all plagued with really bad factual errors as well as problems with grammar. Human writers that were within the company had to edit these. They were livid with the messy direction the company was going in with the content. It was such a failure that they actually pulled back all of their AI plans, and now they have to replan a new launch. Other things to think about: accuracy. Sometimes you get information from AI that is not 100% accurate. You have to vet it. The accuracy of the data is important. If you're not accurate, you could be hit by the Google bot. And if you're not accurate, you can also then lose trust with your audience and your customers. Secondly, like I said before, make it human. It is imperative that you audit and edit the content that you generate. You have to give it a human voice. You have to make it unique. You have to make it feel real. If it doesn't feel real, no one's going to want it. So let's talk about EAT. In 2023, accuracy and authenticity are everything. What is EAT? E-E-A-T. It is how Google scores the authority. It is a framework to assess the quality of the content and the accuracy of the information on the website. It directly impacts your rankings and your ranking capability. EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. It is essentially how Google looks at a site and determines, can we trust this website? Can we trust this author? And why? So another thing that kills authority is plagiarism. Plagiarism can destroy your authority, but it can also create huge problems for your brand. It can create legal problems. You can get sued. If you need to check for plagiarism from the content you're getting from AI, there is a multitude of different sites and services you can use. Two big ones I recommend, Grammarly and Copyscape. Both have fantastic plagiarism checks. And also, if you're getting a lot of plagiarized content from the AI, switch up the prompts you're using. Go into and ask for completely unique content that's never been written before. Give it a situation within the prompt from a different angle so that what it gives you is completely unique. And then again, I know I'm beating the drum here, but human augmentation. You have to augment the content you get. You can't just turn around and use the third-party content. So other challenges here, and this will be the last from me, credit the AI, but also the human. Google wants to know when content is created by AI, but it also wants to know that a human edited it. So show Google that human beings have edited the content when you're publishing. Give it authority. Put the authors in there. Say this was created by AI and then edited by X. You also need to test and evaluate. Content only works if it drives people to your site and drives rankings. Pay attention to the analytics and the traffic you get from the content you create using AI. If it's not driving traffic, switch up your strategy. And then lastly here, stay up to date. You never know what Google's thinking next. You have to keep abreast of Google's algorithm updates and guidelines. Pay attention to how they reward or disregard AI content. They may say, it's okay to use AI content right now as long as it's human generated, but it might change in the future and you need to keep abreast of that. Thank you.
Awesome, Billy. I really appreciate that. And we'll now turn it over to questions. Thank you for people that submitted questions either before or currently during the webinar presentation. So we want to jump into some of those. I will open these up to Fernando and Billy or whoever would like to answer those. I will start with Tina because I think there might be some other companies that have questions around this as well. And Tina asked, hi, what about B2B audiences? Their needs and searches and behaviors tend to be different. And I'll start just very quickly and I'll turn it over to the rest of the panel. What I would expect is because there's more money in the B2C side of things that I think typically you're going to see the adoption on the B2C side first, and then you're going to see that start to bleed over and spill into the B2B side as companies figure out how they can use it. I love Fernando's example before about the refrigerators telling me that I'm out of eggs and I need to, even ordering for me, but at least telling me that I need to go get eggs. And I think you could see something very similar to that even in a warehouse type of thing for inventory. But I'll open it to the panel to see if anybody has other things they'd like to add.
Sure, I will add here that when we're talking about audiences, we need to be precise with the definition. Audiences are people, and behind B2B and behind B2C are people. Of course, B2C people are, more accessible per se. B2B, the finalizing the prospecting, the decision-making, it takes more effort, is more tedious at some point. But at the end of the day, they're also people. The content for B2C needs to be really interesting, innovatory, cool, right? For B2B, the content is more tailored for the decision-making person, but still, there is a person, there's a person as you and me. The B2B sector, the content for them it's always more tailored for the decision making. And with the help of AI, if you are creating content for B2B, that's even more exciting, because AI has all the knowledge about who is the person who is behind the window, and who can be receiving or perceiving that. So think about content, think about audiences. Both are people.
Yeah, I'd like to add too, the data that AI is trained on is not just from one audience in most cases. So if you're talking about, how can I create content for a B2B audience using AI? The thing about artificial intelligence is it's intelligent. So it already knows a lot about what your actual target customer is looking for, and about the world that they're in, and what they look like, what they understand in terms of concepts and keywords and things like that. I think Chris may say differently. I think that creating content for a B2B audience versus a B2C audience for optimizations using AI is pretty much even at this point.
Awesome. Thank you both. And by the way, I apologize for not introducing. So Chris Foley is also on the DOM team, very heavy into AI, very heavy into analytics. And so I wanted to bring him on to talk and answer some of these questions as well. I love this one because of the background, especially. I am interested, rather than in railing against AI and the changes, learning how to use them to continue to report the news and create content. What are the best AI tools to grow, optimize, and win on the digital shelf? So I know there's a lot that is privately being done. I know we're doing a lot of things to kind of build our own tools and our own bots. But and we mentioned a couple in the presentation, but for anybody on the panel, any specific tools you want to mention that you like and you think are readily available to the public they may want to check out?
Yes. So the primary tool that everyone is using, or the type of tool, are large language models. So this is what we covered in the presentation, things like ChatGPT, Palm 2, and Microsoft's Bing AI. And these are the tools that you can get in and use even without any sort of programming knowledge or anything like that. The barrier to entry is very minimal. Essentially, if you can send a message to a coworker on Slack, you can use ChatGPT. So these tools allow you to sort of streamline content creation and different communication tactics and things like that in your company. It's also something that you can use in tandem with SEMrush and their tools if you're focused on SEO. One thing that we've been looking at is with SEMrush's site audit tool, you can find an error on your site. So say we have something like a page with slow load speed. You get a list of URLs, and then SEMrush provides you with sort of like a why is this broken and how can you fix it sort of thing. And then you can give that context to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's the URL and what's wrong with it. And then the AI can diagnose the exact bits of code on your page to tell you how to fix it and what's causing that slow load speed. So the sort of interactivity and the back and forth of things like ChatGPT make it really easy for people to get in on the ground floor.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And then here's one that somebody typed in, and Billy, I think they were typing in right before your slides started to give some examples of tools, but I'll let you all go back over those, or Fernando has tools, or if you want to expand outside of there. Which AI do you use for competitor analysis and ad creation? I know some platforms only have information or databases up to 2021 or 2022.
I can cover this. So recently, with things like ChatGPT, originally it was only trained on data that's up to 2021. There are now beta features that allow you to browse the web, so real-time information, anything on the web. And there's a few ways that you can go about doing that. There's built-in browsing, which is not quite there yet. So I would recommend using the second option, which is using plugins. That will allow you to sort of browse the web while also using ChatGPT. So you will have the ability to sort of go out on the internet. And in that, you can say, hey, look at our website, right? And it'll go through and crawl, and it'll find the services that you have, and then say, crawl through our competitor's website, and then sort of compare the two. And so that's how you can sort of start with competitive analysis and get rolling in that sort of way.
Absolutely. I was also going to add, Chris, that the API is available. You can feed it your own data within spreadsheets and etc. So if you have data to work with, you can call the API and then look at that data and do various things with it based on the information that you can give it.
Well, I have a couple of tools, for example, for advertising intelligence or advertising research. And the case that you are looking for that for advertising intelligence, you can use, this is a partner of us that is called Ad Clarity. Well, you can see competitor digital ads, ad spend, and ad impressions as well. And you can have all that information. And the history, the data history that I have is more than September 2021, at least for the last 5 years. Inside of SEMrush, we have that as well. But in terms of AI, well, we have the data. You need to use that data. You can pull it out through our API, analyze that data, get your insights from that. In terms of competitive intelligence, there is another really interesting tool that is called Custom GPT. It's not related to ChatGPT at all, but still, you can pull out the data from SEMrush. You can see what is happening inside of a competitor web page and analyze that with this AI tool that is called Custom GPT. So those are my two tools.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for those. And Fernando, this one's for you. I'm going to go back. I don't even know if you're allowed to answer this, but I want to know the answer too. So I'm going to ask it. Does SEMrush plan to further integrate AI into your platform? Anything that you can share about future moves?
Oh, actually, we have several integrations that are going right now. As I mentioned during my presentation, we have that in our writing assistant with the rephrase and with tone of voice, and with the content creation platform, which is the writing assistant. Well, we have several plans. We have several tools that are backed up by machine learning. And at some point, they're going to be running automated through artificial intelligence. But still, we have those tools in advertising intelligence, in content creation, and for SEO as well, analyzing the logs with our site audit. So we've been working with artificial intelligence the last, 5 years. Now this term is more popular because of ChatGPT, but we were already working with that since the last 5 years. And yes, we have new projects, but I cannot mention those projects. They're going to be really, really amazing.
All right. Well, listen, so you should know that Fernando, it is the evening time. He's graciously doing this from Europe for us. So perhaps it's time, maybe you can have a cerveza, Fernando, or two, and then maybe we can loosen you up to share some of those plans. But won't hold out hope for that. So thank you for sharing what is going on.
Sure.
Here's one from Dan. And Dan, you may have some more to this, so I'll let you kind of add to your question if we're not addressing exactly what you're trying to get to. But what are you using for anomaly detection to identify problems? I'm not sure if that means for analytics, like seeing, for example, is a website down, or if it's just traffic performance. But any tools anybody wants to mention?
Yes. So my interpretation of this question was that sometimes like AI will output incorrect information, right? And so detecting those anomalies before they're posted. So there are different styles of prompts that will allow you to catch those errors as they're sort of coming out. So there are sort of ways of thinking of tools like ChatGPT as a back and forth conversation. So you're having a conversation with someone, so they can have a persona, they can have a job title, that sort of thing. So if you're saying, hey, while you're outputting this, I want you to act as an SEO expert or something like that. And they'll give you that sort of information, and there's a chance that it's wrong. So the next thing that you can do in like the same prompt is to say, I want you to be a researcher, and I want you to pay attention to what the SEO expert is outputting, and then make sure that it's correct, and give me the best things about it, the worst things about it, stuff like that. So that is one of the solutions for anomaly detection.
And again, Chris, just to go back to that, that's a testament that you can't just use exactly everything that comes out of AI. You have to have a human editor and someone that can augment the content, who can do that research, because accuracy and authenticity is everything when it comes to your authority in Google.
Awesome. Thank you. And Dan did jump in to say that we were on the right path with that. So thank you, Dan. This one, and if you want to talk about it from an algorithm perspective, or if you want to talk about it maybe from a notation perspective, or however you'd like to take it, do you believe that Google will flag content, articles, for example, made by AI in search?
Yeah, we showed the example from the person from also ask.com who built a secondary site that got flagged. They'll flag it if it's bad content, if it can be determined that it was written and it's not informative and it's not well put together. They'll just flag that normally as bad content, thin content already. Whether they're going to actually flag it as written by AI, is kind of up in the air, but we're anticipating that that's a likelihood. And so one of the things that happens, if we ever need to use AI to generate something, we make sure it's human edited, just like we've been saying, and then it passes. There are various tools based on the same technology as ChatGPT and et cetera that edit and audit content and determine whether it was built by AI. And they can tell us, is this 75% AI or is it 90% human? And there's a standard that you need to get to with the amount of human written content. This is becoming a huge situation within colleges and high schools already, where kids are using AI to write papers and do research. So colleges, and it's not Harvard, but there's a few colleges that have already had to come up with a standard where they test articles and content that come through those tools, and they determine whether they're a certain percentage human. And that's pretty much going to be the norm, I think. I think Google will have that same kind of criteria where they're going to determine, has this been actually edited and audited and looked at by a person or not? But second, lastly, Google's also creating that content. They're creating, content that they've pulled off other sites. So they can't go all in on getting rid of AI content. It's going to hurt them as well.
Yeah, I would like to add that if you're in content creation, you should be using AI. So AI right now is a tool that every content creator should have, but creating a full piece just by the AI, well, it's not useless, but it's pretty easy to detect by different tools that are not Google. So Google has the power, has the people, has the knowledge to review that. In this case, I will say that many teams inside of Google, I have a lot of friends working there in the search results, are right now ready, directed to be working to AI detection. But flagging those type of content, well, that'd be a massive step for them, saying, okay, we have our AI tools, you cannot use it to publish the content. So that will be like, I don't know, step back for them. But the other way, they're going to be providing the same tools for example, the thin content that we were talking, or for a spin content that, well, that's 10 years ago that people were using that as well. They will have the techniques, they will have the tools, but I don't believe that they're going to be flagging anytime soon that type of content.
Well, thank you all. And to Billy's point about schools, my son's high school runs everything through a plagiarism checker right now, where it's like he has to be under 12% of what the tool picks up as plagiarized. And so it's interesting because he's trying to reverse engineer, not that he's using it, at least I don't think he is. I see him writing stuff, But to reverse engineer, like, hey, I have to put in sources. I have to do some of these other things as footnotes so that that will help me get under the percentage for what it's looking for. So it's interesting to watch. Here's a specific one. We're getting some really good ones coming in last minute, and we'll get to as many of these as we can. From Bill, will the rewrite feature in HubSpot suffice for edit and audit after AI generated? And I don't know if anybody has a specific opinion on that.
I do. And I also think this answer covers another question in here that is about using non-Google tools for content generation so that Google doesn't look to Bard to see if it's AI generated. So for both of these, the answer is that to cover the HubSpot thing first, whenever they use the rewrite tool and stuff like that, and like HubSpot is a good one, the SEMrush writing assistant is another good rewriting tool as well. The way that the content generation works for language models is largely the same. So it has to do with something called natural language processing. And so based on the training data that it has, so for ChatGPT, it's stuff that's 2021 and before, things like that. It's always going to know what the best word to write is. And it always knows the next word that it's going to write. And so basically with content detection for like AI generated content, you're having a machine look at the text and saying, well, each one of these words is more or less all of the words that I would expect to go in an order. So if I was looking at like sandwiches, it would be BLT, peanut butter and jelly, right? And there's nothing that surprised you about like what I just said. So these detectors are doing the same thing, just on a larger scale. So it's not necessarily about a certain tool, it's about how things are being written. And so introducing humans in the loop sort of adds in that measure of humanity. So that's why we talk about human in the loop so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. We probably have time for this last one because this one's pretty heavy. For those people that know me, you know, I'm an agent of chaos, so I was saving this one for the end. In 2 to 5 years, it sounds like AI marketing tools would work autonomously without much human interaction. The quality might be low at first, but conceivably would improve over time. Wouldn't that pose a large threat to marketing jobs? I'll jump in just with 2 cents first. I think that anytime you have a new technology, there comes disruption with it. And I would expect that there's going to be displacement, but it also creates new jobs. So I believe that there are some types of activities, some types of jobs right now that will go away, or at least be less in demand than they are today as part of it. But it's going to create new opportunities. And the question just becomes, will those new opportunities, what skills are needed for that? And then what's the overall volume of jobs associated with that versus what was the overall volume of jobs available in the old method? And it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And I say that as my oldest just graduated from high school. And I'm very concerned about what opportunities are going to be out there in the future for all of my children. So it'll be interesting to see. But I do think that the things that we know today are going to look very different in a couple of years. But curious what other people think.
Yeah, I think whenever there's, just like you were saying, there's a disruption whenever there's a new huge technology. But if you think about it from other technological landmark situations, like the iPhone completely changed the industry, disrupted everything, but didn't get rid of PCs. You know, email and the internet, etc., all blew up, changed everything we do, but it didn't get rid of postal mail. It just changes how you use it and maybe the resources within that you use. I think there's a huge opportunity for growth for marketing. I think that's probably going to augment what people do in regards to marketing. I think in-person human interaction might become more valuable. You know, trade show events and conferences, while they seem like they would be going away completely, you know, in a post-pandemic world, I think that human interaction as we start to move towards a more AI focused world is going to become more valuable and might be more effective at selling again in some ways too.
Well, adding something really fresh to that. Well, recently Apple launched their Vision Pro headset, presenting us a different reality of the future that is going to be upcoming next year. Well, maybe we will not be using monitors anymore. Nobody's talking about that. It's a disruption as well. We have these headsets, I don't know, for the last 5 years, but Apple is presenting in a different way. This is going to be disrupting, yes, but the market, and in this case, the industries are going to be changing. And we as people, we need to be flexible with that, learning new stuff. You mentioned the iPhone, of course. Everybody was thinking that everything is going to be mobile, websites only on mobile devices, the mobile era. That didn't come. People are still using desktop version of their website. In different countries, they are using more mobile devices. That's true, but in the majority of the countries, they're still using desktop devices. So you need to learn new stuff. It's a new call for everybody to learn new stuff and to be more proactive with the knowledge that we are receiving.
Totally agree. Well, thank you, everybody. Quick reminder to everybody, there is a link on here, directom.com/AI, that if you are interested in a free strategic consultation about any of your own digital marketing efforts, we would love to speak with you. We can set that up, or just contact us at the information you see on your screen. But I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. We are at time, and a special thanks to Fernando for joining us and bringing all of his knowledge, as well as SEMrush's latest innovations, as well as Billy and Chris from our team as well. So thank you, everybody, and have an awesome afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you are.